Recording in progress.
Thank you, Quinn. I'd like to call this council meeting to order and thank everyone for coming. Spring is here and summer's coming. Puts a smile on everybody's face. It's wonderful to see so many young people in the council chambers tonight and some of us older folks as well. So again, thank you for coming, and we're going to get started. So I'm going to ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act. Seeing none, declare that closed. And we'll move into the regular minutes of April 4th. We have a resolution by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Zimmerman, that the minutes of the town of Minto, April 4th, 2023, regular council meeting be approved. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. So before we go any further, I would just like to ask, I've had comments, for those of you that don't know, we're on video and people around the town listen to us sometimes, and I've had different people comment on how they can't hear. So they can hear most of us, but some of us are very meek and mild and we don't speak very loud. So just asking everybody to speak up. Okay, so thank you for that. So moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson. Deputy Mayor Anderson is just coming in. So we're going to just wait one moment. Yeah, it's pretty hard to sneak in, Jean. Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Especially when you announce me.
Sorry.
You could just go, I didn't see you.
Okay, so we are in progress, Deputy Mayor Anderson. So this resolution is moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the Town of Minto Council convenes into the Committee of the Whole. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. So we have some delegations here this evening. And what I'm going to do is we have 4 delegations. Actually, we have more than that, but we have 4 people, 4 different young people in our community receiving honors, if you will, for some of the things that they do better than most. So certainly, it's really interesting. Some, especially Mr. Dirksen, what he's doing. But the first one we're going to do here is Autumn Lancaster, and so what I'd like to do is ask Autumn to come to the front up here, and I'm going to make a presentation, and then I'm going to ask you if you want to say a few words. And so we have to use the mic. So don't be as nervous as I am. Okay. So I'd like to introduce Autumn Lancaster. As many of you know, Councillor Potnevitz was recently in an accident, which could have been a lot worse if not for the actions of our first guest. Councillor Potnevitz was driving his granddaughter, Autumn, to the hospital when a softball-sized rock flew through the window of his truck and struck him. Can everybody hear me? Okay. Despite her young age, 16 and a novice driver, Autumn acted immediately, pulling her grandfather out of the truck and taking the wheel herself. Knowing that she needed to move fast, Autumn found a cloth to apply pressure to the injury on his head and called 911 while beginning her drive to the hospital. Despite the fear and panic she must have felt, Autumn showed great bravery and acted decisively, ensuring the best possible outcome for her grandfather. We are very glad to have Autumn here tonight to recognize her for the dedication and courage she displayed and to commend her on her heroic and life-saving actions. She showed great bravery and made a huge difference in the life of another. And I mean, that just makes the hair in the back of my head stand up just to think that you possibly did that. So Autumn, Town of Minto is proud to recognize Autumn Lancaster for displaying dedication and courage during an emergency situation. Despite great fear, you came to the aid of another with heroic and life-saving actions. We commend you on this act of bravery and the difference you have made in the life of another. Congratulations.
Do you want to go up and get a picture with your granddaughter?
Yes.
You look better than I do.
Thank you. So Autumn will give you the opportunity to speak only if you want to. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And I'm also going to give you a Town of Minto pin. And thank you very much for your bravery. I'll stand here while you're speaking, okay?
Okay. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody. I didn't know it would reach this far or I'd even be getting an award for anything like this, but the fact that I'm considered a hero to everybody's eyes is amazing to me because he was my rock in the situation, no matter what happened, and to see him still standing here makes me very happy, and I thank you all for giving me this award and courage to think past this situation as a horrible one and move through it as a good one and get over it. And I thank you all for it because it's a big honor.
Thank you very
you.
much. Yeah, so, thank you very much. So, next on the agenda, Weston Dirksen. Please come up here. Do you want me to help you carry that?
You gotta fight him for it, Dave.
Pardon?
You have to fight him for it.
So I want to be your friend, first and foremost. So Weston Dirksen lives just outside of Hairston, near Grandma Judy. That's your grandma over there, Judy Dirksen. Has only been kickboxing for 6 months. Taekwondo with Rise Combat and Fitness since 2017. He's going for his second degree black belt in May. Weston's been honing his skills at Rise Combat and Fitness in Mount Forest, who recently sent a team to compete at the Waco Canada National Kickboxing Championship in Niagara. As a member of the team, Weston went undefeated for all 3 fights, taking home the national championship belt in the 12-year, 37.3 kilogram age group. We're very glad this evening that Weston could join us so we can recognize his outstanding achievements in the gym. Congratulations, Weston. So this certificate of recognition presented to Weston Dirksen in recognition of your outstanding achievement, national champion, representing Rise Combat and Fitness at the Waco Canada National Kickboxing Championships. Success never comes in a day, comes with strong determination and with great hard work, and you are an example of that. May you always remember how much you are needed, respected, and valued within this community. So, thank you very much. Could you bring that around to the front? Get a picture? You want to? Might be the only opportunity you get when he goes world.
This way. Yeah, really got these.
Okay. Weston, well, we're as a community, I mean, some of us live our whole lives and never ever win a championship in anything. So I want you to have this, and if you're interested in saying a few words, you can do that. And I know that you likely want to thank your mother, your family, if she didn't already tell you to thank her, and your dad.
Yeah, I guess. Thanks, Mom and Dad and my family for helping me, and actually Mom for driving me all the way to Niagara Falls. And thank you for letting me come here today. And yeah, that's about it.
So, pleasure. Congratulations,
Thank you.
and good luck to you in the future. I have a Minto pin here for you. You can wear it proudly when you go to the next competition.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the agenda, Tori Zemelink. Welcome, Tori. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So Tori Zemelink grew up just outside of Palmerston and has been curling since she was 11 years old. Having spent many hours at the Palmerston Curling Club over the years, Tori now attends and curls for the University of Guelph. Earlier this year, Tori skipped a team on the Curl On U20 Women's Curling Provincial Championships. Her rink went 6-0, winning the championship game in dramatic fashion after a measurement decided it in the 10th and final end. How close was it?
Like an inch.
As provincial champion, Team Zemelink represented Ontario at the New Holland Canadian Junior Curling Championship in Quebec last month, finishing 4th place. We are glad Tori could join us tonight so we can recognize her outstanding achievement on the ice. So this certificate of recognition presented to Tori Zemelink in recognition of your outstanding achievement. Curl On U20 Provincial Champion, representing Ontario at the 2023 New Holland Canadian Juniors. Success never comes in a day. It comes with strong determination and with great hard work, and you are an example of that. May you always remember how much you are needed, respected, and valued within this community.
Thank you.
So congratulations. And here's a Minto pin,
Perfect.
and if you want to, how do you want to do this, Pat? Do you want a picture first? Do you want your mother to come up and get in this picture? So congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Right here. Sorry.
thank you for inviting me here. Obviously, it was a great accomplishment. This was one of 2 provincial jackets that I earned this season, and I could not have done it without my team, even though they might not be here. I do want to thank them for getting me here. Thank you to my parents for helping me since I was 11, getting me into the sport and coaching me since I was little. So, yeah, thank you.
Congratulations, and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Leah Herford. Last but not least. Certainly, let's turn that around. Is that the reason why he sits over there and you sit over there? Don't answer that. So Leah Herford is a resident of Palmerston and has been an avid hockey player from a young age. After spending 2 years playing NCAA Division I hockey in New York, Leah returned home to play OUAA hockey at the University of Waterloo for the past 2 years. This year has been a rewarding one for her as she broke the Waterloo Warriors' all-time record for points in a single season and was the second leading scorer in the county. Sorry, in the country. Big difference. This led to Leah being named the OUAA Player and Forward of the Year, as well as being named U Sports First Team All-Canadian. U Sports First Team All-Canadian. This also gave her the chance to represent Canada at the FISU World University Games in January. Team Canada won gold, with Leah chipping in with a goal and an assist in the gold medal game. We are glad Leah could join us tonight so we could recognize her outstanding achievements. The key word there is achievements. Certificate of recognition presented to Leah Herford in recognition of your outstanding achievement, world champion representing Team Canada at the Federation International at the, I'm going to stop right there, University Games. Congratulations. Second thing here, this one is certificate of recognition presented to Leah Herford in the recognition of your outstanding achievements, OUA Forward of the Year, OUA Player of the Year, U Sport First Team All-Canadian. You dream, you plan, you reach. There will be obstacles. There will be doubters. There will be mistakes. But with hard work, with belief, with confidence and trust in yourself and those around you, there are no limits. I just can't believe it's amazing. I mean, what a lucky University of Waterloo to have you come back and play with them. You carried them over the top. Congratulations.
Yeah, you can see. Just kind of on the edge like that. Don't blow more back this way. There you go.
Not at all.
Oh, yeah.
There's a Minto pin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I will
Did you
move
want
this
your-
across. No, you can have that.
Okay.
You can have the mic if you want.
Can I pick it up? Okay. Obviously, I want to say thank you to my dad who's here and to my mom who's not here, my family, my teammates, because as you all know, hockey is a team sport and you can't do it all alone. So no matter how hard you try, you can't do it. So yes, thank you to my team, my family, and also all the other young girls who aspire to play on Team Canada or in the OUA or NCAA. I think I'm the first of many young girls from this area that will excel and will move on further than this county. So, yeah. So.
Well said. Good luck to you. That's pretty amazing. Leah, do you have your license? That is, it really is truly amazing, and I know that normally our PRAC chair presents these, and I know he's eating his heart out tonight. He's not here, not able to be here, Mr. Councillor Ron Elliott. And so it was a pleasure for me to present those on behalf of Ron and the rest of council. It's just amazing to have so many talented athletes from our community in this room tonight. So we wish you guys all the best, and thank you for coming. So. You guys, if you really want to, you can.
They're leaving.
Was it something we said?
Yeah. I can even take
you home, Wesley.
So the next item on the agenda, we have Jennifer and Steve here from Saugeen Valley. And if you guys don't mind stepping up to the mic, Counselor Steve from Wellington North and Jennifer Stevens from the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. So welcome. If you don't mind stating your name after I've stated it, and speak into the mic, please.
It's all perfect. And I'll just say next slide. Is that it? Perfect. Thank you very. Oh, yes. My name is Jennifer Stevens, and I'm the General Manager, Secretary Treasurer for Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. And I do have one of my directors.
Hello, I'm Steve McCabe. I get to represent Minto and Wellington North on the Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority. And I have really no idea where the time has gone, but this is the 9th year that I've been on the board. And I know, Dave, you were on Maitland Conservation Authority, and it's a privilege to represent Minto and Wellington North. And we look to try and do great things as we go forward with all the regulation changes and policy changes that we're still trying to negotiate. And I'll hand it over to Jennifer.
Yeah, you're fortunate to have an experienced person like Jennifer to help you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Churton. I just want to mention it's a pleasure to be here tonight in the presence of greatness.
How do we follow that?
I just, that's a tough act to follow.
You're just going to have to try.
I'm going to really try. So I have a 10-minute delegation. I understand that you've all been provided with the materials, so I'm going to breeze past some of the slides. So we'll move past the first slide. This particular slide just is an overview of Ontario's conservation authorities. I'll get you to move on to the next slide. In terms of conservation authorities and in terms of understanding them, you need to understand what a watershed is. So a watershed is essentially a catchment area where you have water that falls onto the ground and it either infiltrates into the ground or it runs off or it evaporates into the air. And every conservation authority in the province, certainly in southern Ontario, is delineated on a watershed scale. In northern Ontario, it's a bit different. There are 5 conservation authorities in northern Ontario that are more or less delineated based on municipal boundaries around some major urban centers. Next slide, please. Saugeen Valley Conservation Authority is one of 36 conservation authorities. We have our headwaters in the Osprey wetlands, which is in the east of the watershed. We flow west along the Saugeen River and empty into Lake Huron. We have 15 municipalities that are in our watershed. Our board of directors is comprised of 15 different directors, of which Director McCabe is one of them. We are the 5th largest conservation authority by geographic area. We have 4,700 square kilometers, and we have 118 kilometers of shoreline. Next slide, please. So in terms of coming to you today, there is a purpose. I wanted to introduce you to our programs and services, but also there's been some major changes to our regulations over the last year and a half. And I would like to do an overview of some of those changes. In particular, now we are required to focus on our mandatory programs and services, and where we are doing what are called non-mandatory programs and services, we are required to enter into agreements with municipalities to carry out those programs and services. And those agreements need to be in place by the end of this calendar year in order for us to continue on with those programs and services starting in January 1st, 2024. So this is the first of 2 visits I will likely make to this council. Next slide, please. So in terms of our mandatory programs and services, they center around flood and erosion control prevention. And that is really divided into four major areas, which I group under non-structural approaches, which is really keeping people away from the water. So we have regulation of development in floodplains, flood forecasting and warning, water infrastructure maintenance and inspection, as well as emergency planning. We also have structural approaches, which are keeping the water away from people. And those are dams, dikes, as well as channel works, which are essentially protecting slopes from erosion. Now, we do talk about structural approaches in water infrastructure, maintenance, and inspection. So I will be discussing each of these individually. Next slide, please. So in terms of our flood warning program, this is one of the gems of really our flood forecasting and warning program. Essentially, this program has a series of stream gauges which are located across our watershed, and these stream gauges measure the water levels in a stream or river, as well as they have precipitation gauges that are associated with them. And those gauges relay routine information back to our control center at the authority. And that allows us to be cognizant of what kind of water levels we have in the rivers and the streams. But it also acts as an early warning system in the event of tremendous rainfall. And that allows us then to notify municipal officials such as yourselves in the way of, next slide, please, flood warning messages, which you'll see here. We send out consistent messaging that is consistent across all conservation authorities. Essentially, green means normal. Yellow is a watershed condition statement or a water safety statement. It means heads up, something is happening, high waters, be careful. And then you move further down the spectrum into orange, which is essentially a flood watch. And that's where there's a potential for generalized flooding events. And then you move into red, where you have a flood warning. And that's where flooding is actually occurring or is imminent to occur. And the most recent rainstorm that we had a couple weeks ago, our whole watershed was in a flood watch. We moved into a flood warning for some of our municipalities. We moved back into a flood watch. Next slide, please. In terms of our regulation of development in the floodplain, we are specifically required to be involved in a plan input and review with respect to the Planning Act. We are also responsible for our Regulation 16906, which is the regulation of development, interference of wetlands, and alterations to shorelines and water courses. That particular regulation requires permits to do different types of activities around water. Our conservation authority essentially processes approximately 1,700 to 2,000 applications for permits on an annual basis. We also receive applications for municipal drains as well as environmental assessments, and these are all related to natural hazards, so related to flooding and erosion. Next slide, please. We also have a delegated responsibility from the province with respect to natural hazards. So that means when we review official plans and zoning bylaws, we're responsible to make sure that those documents adhere to the provincial policy statement with respect to the policies that are in the provincial policy statement as they relate to natural hazards. Next slide, please. Also, another one of our mandatory programs is the Drinking Water Source Protection Program. When Justice O'Connor recommended that we essentially improve our infrastructure in terms of the province, in terms of the protection of our drinking water, he recommended we use a watershed-based approach. And he said, well, conservation authorities are already watershed-based agencies, let's use them. So we have watershed-based source protection plans. And the source protection plan for our region is the Saugeen, Grey Sauble, Northern Bruce Peninsula Source Protection Plan, and 100% of the policies have been implemented within our source protection plan. Next slide, please. Another one of our mandatory programs and services is the conservation of our lands. And that means that we essentially we have 153 different properties in 86 different groupings across our watershed. We maintain 53 kilometers of trails, and we are responsible for taking care of those lands. Next slide, please. We also have 8,000 hectares of forested property on those lands. The care of those forested properties is mandatory. However, we also have tree planting programs, tree marking programs, as well as we work with landowners to prepare plans for the protection of their private forests on their lands. These are non-mandatory programs. However, we work with the landowners, and we consider these programs to be stewardship programs and in the best interest of the watershed. So we look forward to continuing those programs past January the 1st, 2024. Next slide, please. In terms of our water quality programs, they are blended. We participate in what's called the Provincial Water Quality Monitoring Network and the Provincial Groundwater Monitoring Network. They fall in the chemistry bubble. We talked about hydrology when we talked about stream gauges, and I will briefly touch on biology as well. Our water quality programs are essentially in place so that we can establish baseline water quality data, so we can observe trends in our water quality and to determine where should we do our tree planting and our stewardship programs. Next slide, please. Our surface water monitoring is spread out across our watershed. We have 29 different stations. Of those stations, the majority are the Provincial Water Quality Monitoring Network. However, we have some additional stations that we have created that are outside of that network. Those stations that are outside of the provincial network are non-mandatory programs and services. So to carry on monitoring at those additional stations, we would require an agreement with the town of Minto. Next slide, please. The biomonitoring program is an entirely non-mandatory program and service, but because it is a program that we have carried on for a number of years, and because it adds so much value to our water quality monitoring, we would like to continue carrying on this program. Biomonitoring takes into consideration not just a snapshot of what the water chemistry is at one period of time. It takes into consideration an organism and the life cycle of that organism and what type of tolerance that organism has for the environmental conditions that it lives in. And you can see here we have 20 biomonitoring sites that coordinate directly with our water chemistry sites. Next slide, please. Our groundwater monitoring, as I mentioned, is completely through the Provincial Groundwater Monitoring Network, and it is completely mandatory. We have 23 aquifers that are accessible at 14 different sites, and those 23 aquifers are in the bedrock, so very deep into the ground, as well as they are shallow overburden aquifers. Next slide, please. In terms of our 2023 budget, our general levy programs amount to just shy of $4 million. Of that general levy program budget, the town of Minto contributes just over $56,000. And then we have our non-general levy programs, and that is just over $2 million. And our non-general levy programs include, for example, we run 3 campgrounds that are self-generating, and those campgrounds, because no levy comes from any municipalities, that those funds are entirely revenue neutral and self-generating by the Conservation Authority. Next slide, please. So I will end with this particular slide, which focuses on the 3 categories of services that we carry out. Program 1 is the mandatory programs and services for which we could charge levy, and we would continue to carry on charging levy through the regular budget process. Category 2 are programs and services that a conservation authority does on behalf of a municipality. At this point in time, we have no category 2 programs and services. And category 3 are programs and services which a conservation authority feels are in the best interest of the watershed and will need to enter into agreements with the municipalities in order to carry out those programs and services moving forward. And once again, those agreements must be entered into by January the 1st of 2024. So thank you very much for your attention tonight. I really appreciate following that tough act and your attentiveness tonight. So thank you.
Jennifer, are you taking questions?
Of course.
All right. If there is questions. I have one question. Down at Good Roads, I was at a seminar to do with the nuclear management, the spent rods. How is that? How is Saugeen dealing with that? Have you been asked to give opinions, or have you been to the meetings, anything like that?
We are actually participating in the project. We have been, we are acting as an impartial third party. We were asked to participate because of our expertise in surface water monitoring and hydrology. We were asked if we wanted to participate as an external monitoring agency, which our board of directors supported. So we have signed a memorandum of understanding or service level agreement with the Nuclear Waste Management Organization. So we have been carrying out work with the Nuclear Waste Management Organization on a quarterly basis. We've been collecting surface water samples at several sites across the Teeswater watershed, and we have been collecting hydrology samples at stream gauges that have been set up on the Teeswater as well.
Collecting all those samples just basically to get ready if something happens down the road? Are we setting up a data bank, or?
More or less to assist them in being able to inform a baseline environmental conditions report for them in terms of being able to characterize the site before they actually were to do anything at the site. So we had approval from our board of directors to do the first year and the second year. There is a third year. We hope that we will get approval to move on to the third year. It is only a 3-year program.
Perfect. Thank you. No other questions? So on behalf of the council, I'd like to thank you for coming, and thank you for being the partners that you have been for years and years and years. And so Steve as well, thank you for coming, and good luck in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, we'll need it.
Next on the agenda, Wayne Martin from the Tiviotdale Historical Group.
Mayor Turton, council members, town staff, and any guests here tonight. Again, just before I get started with what's happening in Tivadale, it was always rewarding to see the youth of Minto being recognized and for the things they do, because they're the ones that are going to replace us down the road. So anyway, thank you for
Wayne, would you
having.
introduce yourself, please?
Pardon?
Just say who you are, if you don't mind. Would you introduce yourself?
Sorry, I can't hear you.
What's your name?
Oh. Wayne Martin.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for having us. We have a core group of volunteers, about 9 people, and 2 of them are with us tonight, and Counselor Zimmerman is one of them, and Treasurer Duff is another one that's been helping the group move along in this process. The project is the history of Tivadale. So what we did was we started to gather information and pictures to extend the history of Tivadale. There's been a fair amount of dialogue. There's been a fair amount of written material about Minto Township and Tivadale and the surrounding area. We're assisted by a lot of citizens of Minto, the Hairston and Mapleton Historical Society, Minto Council, and Wellington County. Presently with Wellington County, we're negotiating one of the sites that we'd like to use. We have 2 sites. One is a private site, and we have a verbal agreement to use it. And we're dealing with the county right now with answering a lot of the questions and that kind of stuff. Our plan, after we collected information and pictures about Tivadale and Tivadale area, and the information and pictures that we've got is totally amazing. Like, it's almost like the whole community jumped in and said, look at this, look at that. We started to interview people, get their stories and all that kind of stuff. The second part of it is the group said that we'd like to have an outside site to put, it's basically 6 panels that are 6 feet high, 4 feet wide, and would be based in a structure. In the information I give you, the 2 options of the structure framework are in that information, I hope. We then looked at the revenue side of it, and we're in the process of fundraising. And it's one of the reasons I'm here tonight, which I'll get to, but revenue is part of making a project work. The other thing is, one of our members is Mike Wright. So with Mike's ability in his webpage, and you'll see stories about Minto, all parts of Minto, about stuff. Anyway, in that, we'd like to develop it a little bit farther. And I know the town of Minto has, on their website, has the history part. And we'll likely request to meet with Minto about adding this project into that website. The request that we have is, with confidence and credibility, the town of Minto, we'd like to formally partner with the town of Minto to help us manage the fundraising, donations and stuff through the town. Part of the dialogue with our volunteers was the project we're hoping will help enhance the economy out in Tivadale. Like, if you go to Tivadale right now, and if you could go above Tivadale and just take a look at it, it's a very active business little hamlet, really much so. And when I started to recruit people, I went to a lot of the businesses, and Wednesday morning at 9:30, I walked into the bakery out there, and I couldn't believe the number of people there. So that's just one example. So as an economic driver, if we can do stuff through the through the outside and through the website to enhance the business, not only in Tividale, but Minto at large. And the third thing was to extend the story of the history of Tividale. And we've picked 6 facilities, which I think you have, or at least council has. And we have stories that are still being added to because we're being contacted continually with people that lived there, people that were involved in different things and that kind of stuff. So we're kind of at a crossroads, like, where do we go with the fundraising? And starting this weekend, we're going to promote the project at the Bosman Homefront 25th anniversary. We've joined the town in being one of the groups in the mayor's golf tournament. I have people putting donation numbers down for the project. So we feel real good about where we're heading. One of the reasons we want Minto to be involved is the county likes to have the local town involved. So, and it's kind of a bonus to have Councilor Zimmerman who can keep council up to date on what's happening. Anyway, I'll stop there and try to field any questions that might come up.
Okay, thanks, Wayne. Questions for Wayne? For those of you that don't know, I mean, Wayne sat at this table for many years. Like, were you a counselor in Palmerston as well before the amalgamation? No? So Wayne's had lots of experience with with this type of thing. So, I mean, I really like your history of Tividale. I mean, that, the racetrack, the ball diamond, the truck stop and the school, all that stuff was pretty huge down there for years and years. So, no questions?
I just, the county site, if you go to the OPP station, there's a strip of land to the south in behind their OPP sign. It's got park written all over it. We're, in our discussion with the county, we're talking parkette also. If that becomes available, and we've had dialogue, we've had 3 or 4 meetings. It went from the planning department and county has moved it over to the economic development group. So we've been dealing with Christina Mann from the economic development group, and that's kind of the site we've been looking at. And the private site is the Tividale truck stop. So we have an understanding. We have 4 spots out there that could be used. And some of the feedback I'm getting is if you're promoting business, maybe that's where the site or where your project should be. So we have to take all that stuff into consideration when we make the final decision. Thank you very much.
Well, Wayne, thank you very much for taking this on. I know that you've got some great volunteers there working with you, and we wish you all the luck.
Thank you.
So we're moving into question period, public question period. Seeing no questions, thanks, Wayne. You can. We have a recommendation on the correspondence moved by Councillor Potnovich, second by Councillor Dirksen. The council received the correspondence as information. We have one item. If you're okay with not pulling that item and for further discussion, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you very much. Reports of committees and town staff. Committee minutes for approval. I'll ask our ACTEV director, Belinda Wick, please.
Lengthy one, but a very good one. Lots of great conversations. I'm just going to briefly highlight some of the things. We are bringing our corporate call program back. We used to do this a lot pre-COVID, where we would get out and go to our larger reaching out to those businesses. Not only does the ACDAV committee attend these, but council is invited to attend as well. So we will make sure we get these on your calendar so you can join us. It's really appreciated by the businesses, so hopefully you can attend. We also were joined at this meeting by our colleagues in the building and planning department who updated on the one. And since then, they've been fielding a lot of new permits, so the group is always excited to hear from those folks. And I think that was like the main highlights of that meeting. There was a lot of great updates, which you could read from our various committee members, and we have quite a few new members bringing new voices to the table. So unless there's any questions about any of that.
Questions for Belinda? Thank you, Belinda. So recommendation moved by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that the council receives the ACDEV and Planning Committee minutes of April 13th, 2023 for information and approved any recommendations contained therein. No questions? All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. And Belinda, we'll move right into the ACDEV 2023, the CRIDAC first right of refusal.
Yeah, so another good news story coming out of Palmerston Industrial Park. The PREDAC development, as you know, is moving along very well, and we have a groundbreaking ceremony planned for May 16th. 20 of the 35 units have been sold, and there's been so much interest that PREDAC had originally planned to have their business on the second floor of the first building, but they are going to potentially give that up. And as a result, we'd like to have first right of refusal on 420 Minto Road, which is our last parcel available in the Palmerston Industrial Park. So this would be like similar to our other first right of refusals for 3-month first right, and they would pay $1,000 non-refundable deposit to have that. And if an offer comes in, they have to decide what they're going to do. So the first right just allows them a little more time to figure out if the demand is there to use up their in the PREDAC building and to move forward with this other property. So it's looking good.
Questions for Belinda? Definitely a good news story, and we've had quite a few in the industrial park. Recommendation, where am I here? Recommendation moved by Councillor Gunson, seconded by Councillor Potnovitz, that the Council of the Town of Minto receives report ACDEV 2023-012 regarding the first right of refusal agreement, CRIDAC Developments, 420 Minto Road, Palmerston Industrial Park, and authorizes the mayor and the clerk to sign the agreement. Hearing no questions, all in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you, Belinda. Next one is the Plan 2023-019, B34-23, the Reed Severance at 5299 Third Line. I'll ask Ashley Sawyer to enlighten us on this, please.
Perfect. Thank you, Mayor Turton. So this report is regarding a severance application for Robert and Doris Reed. So the owners are proposing a surplus farm dwelling severance that will create an approximately 1 acre lot with an existing single detached dwelling on it. The retained portion of the property will remain approximately 50 acres with an existing and proposed use of cash cropping. The provincial policy statement does permit for lots created in prime ag areas when they are for a residence surplus to a farming operation. And the county official plan also does permit for this, provided that the farmland remains large enough to function and farm efficiently, the severed lots kept to a minimum size, the residence is currently habitable, and minimum distance separation can be met. Additionally, the vacant farmland has to be rezoned to prohibit a future residential use. As a result of the severance, the retained farm parcel will have to go through a zoning bylaw amendment, which is included as a recommended condition. Drain apportionment is also required. There's one municipal drain that dissects the property, and we also have included standard conditions relating to confirmation of all accounts being in good standing and satisfactory access being confirmed. So we are recommending that council recommends to the county's land division committee to approve this application with the conditions outlined in the report. And I won't read them all for you.
So the recommendation moved by Councillor Dirksen, seconded by Councillor Zimmerman, at the Council of the Town of Minto recommends the County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve consent application B3423, Doris Reed for land legally described as concession 2, part lot 39, with the municipal address of 5299 Third Line in the town of Minto, and that the following conditions be considered. And there is 6 conditions. Questions for Ashley? Go ahead, Councillor Podnovitz.
Yeah, for you, Mayor Turton. I'm assuming the hydro runs along the driveway. Just want to make sure that the hydro is encompassed within the boundary lines of the new severance.
I believe so. And then they had to keep a little portion at the back of the property there as well, just to meet that minimum lot size area. So you'll notice that there's a little bit of farmland in the back there, but it has to be the minimum 1 acre size.
The survey sketch does show the hydro lines.
It does? Perfect. Thank you.
Other questions? Thank you, Ashley. This one here is very, very straightforward compared to some of the ones that we have, and we have done a few. So certainly in favor of this rather than tearing buildings down in the country. So all in favor of this motion? That's carried. Thank you. The next one then is the Robinson Consent Severance on Elgin Street in Palmerston, Plan 2023-020. Ashley, go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. So this report is regarding 3 severance applications for Jeff and Kathy Robinson on Elgin Street in Palmerston. The proposal is to sever 3 existing vacant residential lots in half for a total of 6 lots. So each of the 3 lots is proposed to have a semi-detached dwelling, and then to divide them into 6 would allow them to be sold with distinct and separate ownership. So council may recall many facets related to this development coming before them, from the Elgin Street extension agreement to the road opening bylaw, to the severances on the opposite side of the street. So these severances are slightly different in that they are a lot simpler, as the road is now constructed and opened, and these 3 lots were actually existing prior to even Elgin Street being constructed. So this is more administrative in a sense that it's just to divide the existing lots in half. Town staff are satisfied that the severance meets the requirements under the county's official plan, and the existing zoning is already in place on the property. Zoning provisions will still be required to be met regarding your setbacks, lot coverage, and your building height once the building plans are completed. And standard conditions are recommended, including that all accounts are in good standing, that parkland contributions are paid, and that there's satisfactory access and servicing, as well as individual grading and drainage plans for each lot prior to building permit issuance. So these are all very standard for urban lots. And we are recommending that the council considers recommending to the Land Division Committee to approve the application with the conditions outlined in the report.
Thank you, Ashley. This recommendation is moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Gunson. The Council of the Town of Minto recommends the County of Wellington Land Division Committee approve consent applications B2323, B2423, and B2523. Robinson for land legally described at lots 73 to 75, survey Caswell and Clements in the former town of Palmerston, town of Minto, County of Wellington, at the following conditions be considered, and there is 8. And Ashley, I really like your color coding there. It makes it.
Thank you. I tried to make them spring themes, so yeah.
Questions? Again, this is very, very straightforward. Is there timelines? When are they going to put a shovel in the ground?
I know they're itching to get going sooner than later, so they've got Mex working on the project that was doing Elgin Street and the construction, or Moorfield Excavating, and then Jeff Metzger's working with them as the builder.
Perfect. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm going to pass the chair over to Councillor Gunson.
Thank you, Mayor Turton. We're going to talk about some pickup trucks, and Todd's going to present.
Yeah, so just here to speak tonight on a tender we built for pickup trucks. So we're looking for 3 pickup trucks, 4x4 half tons, 2 for the wastewater water department and 1 for the community services department. So yeah, the tender results come in. We only had the one bid, and it was less than orders, and the prices are there. And yeah, any questions that you have?
Thanks, Todd. So I'm going to read the recommendation moved by Councillor Podnowitz, seconded by Councillor Dirksen,
that the council of the town of Minto receives report PW 2023-013 regarding truck tender results and approves the purchase of 3 new vehicles from Leslie Motors at the prices set within the tender received. Any questions for Todd? Mayor Turton.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So these 3, are they to add to our fleet, or is there some trade-ins?
We will be trading
The old ones?
3 trucks.
Yep. Okay, so we're not adding, we're just, yeah, thank you.
No other questions? I'm going to call the vote. All in favor? Thank you. I'm going to pass the chair to Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm just gonna turn it over to Chief Carroll to give a report on the fire 2022 year in review.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Anderson. And, yeah, staff was commenting there must be a report from fire because I actually wore a uniform shirt tonight. So this is the once a year that I wear my uniform shirt, but, no, I'm happy to bring you the annual report. I made it to council before basically back May 1st, so that's a reward for us. So just some highlights that we're gonna go through. There's what you see in the report. The third slide that's just our mission statement. We will be doing, another version 3.0 of the master fire plan this year. So we did the original one in 2012. We wanted 2018, updated in 2018, and we'll be updating it again this year in 2023. So that, we'll be looking at that, mission statement as well as the core values of the fire department to make sure they're still applicable. There's a picture of our team. Many of you have not had the chance, I'm sure, to meet Marco yet, but Marco's been part of the shared management team that we have with Wellington North. And we consider him just as much part of our team here in Minto as we do in Wellington North. So Marco's done a tremendous job. In his portfolio, he takes care of the equipment, logistics, purchasing, all that kind of stuff. So it's been a huge asset to the town because it takes the equipment and bundles it together with Wellington North and Minto and then whatever departments will come on. And the firefighters will tell you that he's way more handier than I am because usually I just break stuff and then have to get someone else to fix it. And he actually can fix everything. So it's been a huge bonus to that team. We still have our 3 district chiefs. They've been long-term employees of the town and do a great job managing their 3 stations and are part of our management team as well. So just a quick review, we have 12 captains overall, 3 training officers, and over 60 plus volunteers depending on which week it is. We're actually stabilized pretty good right now, which is nice. We haven't had to recruit too many. We will be looking to recruit a few for the fall recruit class that the county puts on because we've had a few retirements over the past couple months that we just want to make sure we're on top of. And just a kind of cool fact that almost 10% of our service in Minto is female. So we're doing our best we can to recruit in diversity and try to get more people interested that usually aren't interested in the fire service. And just promotions and retirements. We haven't had any major movements in 2022, which was really nice. We've kind of stabilized that way. There's your incident statistics. So the orange line you can see is our calls for 2022, and the gray dotted line below is 2021. So you can definitely see our call volume was up last year, and fairly significantly at times. So that's broken down in quarters. But as I said, you can see the calls were up fairly significant last year. Our incident types are there. Medical calls make up the blue box, which is 32%. As you can see, and this is a trend in all fire services across Ontario, that 6% were fires. And then 59% were in others. So that's your carbon monoxide responses, your false alarms, cat in the tree, which we didn't have any last year. Any calls like that, but that falls under the other. But a significant portion, our medical calls traditionally were in the 20% range, somewhere in the 20s, and we're definitely up with medical calls to the 32% range. Our fire prevention enforcement, we continue to complete code enforcement on a request and complaint basis. So we met the minimum standard. We don't go above that yet. We'd like to progress to that, to start doing some more proactive inspections, but we just don't have the people power to do that right now. We are starting to deal with more tenant complaints as more rental properties come into existence. So as my friend to the left, Terry, does his job extremely well, that puts more work on the fire department, unfortunately. So more apartments, more inspections that become less, and more complaints that do come in. We do complete a significant number of plan reviews and development application reviews. So being two-hatter here, it's kind of nice that I'm in early on the development application. So we do work with that. And we were going to try and be more proactive as we agreed in the budget that we were going to hire a bylaw officer in conjunction with Mapleton. So that will allow Cam to go over to the fire department to start actually performing some fire prevention duties and not spending 80 to 90% of his time on bylaw, which is increasing as well. Public education committees, activities, a lot of them were put on hold last year because we were coming out of COVID, and also because of Khalees being on maternity leave. That's just mostly her portfolio, and I just didn't have much time to get a lot of these done. But we did do a few things. Each of the fire halls, again, decorated for the Christmas season to kind of boost community spirits. They're in great locations, so we try and do that. Nobody's caught up to Clifford yet, who's got lights that link to the music every Christmas. And when you tune in the radio station, you can watch your pretty cool Christmas activity. But we are planning on ramping up activities, including our Safe Kids Day, which is returning in June this year with the schools. Training, just part of training, mandatory training requirements are now in place. That was July 1st, 2022. So what that means is anybody that wants to, whatever job you want to do in the fire service, you have to be certified to that level. So if you're a firefighter, you have to be certified to firefighter level 2. If you want to be a captain, you have to have your fire officer 1 course, and et cetera, et cetera. So we were prepared for that. Luckily enough, you know, we pride ourselves in the fire department of staying on top of things and seeing what's coming down the pipe. So we've prepared ourselves for this. We're in pretty good shape. We have till 2026 to get everybody certified to the level of the job performing, and I'm very confident that we're going to meet that with no problems at all. And then we are working with the other fire departments to put courses in to keep everybody on a line that they can get the courses that they need before they, you know, step up to become a captain or whatever they want to do. And for quite a few years now, we worked with all the other fire departments in the county. That all new recruits go with the training officer with the county and do the county training program. And then when they're done that, they come out fully certified. So that's helped a lot. Completed projects, the new tanker in Harrison is in place and it's in service. The Harrison tanker was sent to Palmerston, and the Palmerston tanker, which was a 1989, was retired. So I'm happy to say we finally get rid of all our 1980 trucks. So we're back into the 90s now. So yes. We do have the tablets. They're installed in all the frontline trucks. We completed that in Minto and Wellington North. So now we're able to access dispatch information and information on scene in real time on the tablets in the trucks, which is a huge asset. We're going to keep improving on that and keep working with all of our staff to work on that. And then we're complete other planning for future, including capital staffing and training, which we talked about. Issues coming up. We do need to complete the renovation for the Palmerston station that was carried over from 2022, which I believe was carried over from 2021. So it looks like I'm going to be losing my office there, and the radio room we're going to turn into a bunker gear room. So I'm just getting some quotes on that right now. We're going to continue to work with David Fire Department, see if any shared services can be moved forward. And you know, Wellington North and Mapleton are both doing fire service reviews right now with a consultant they brought in, and they are using the same consultant. So they are going to get their reports, and we will see what that says and look at that moving forward. And we do have to prepare and write a comprehensive risk assessment for the municipality, and that is another legislative change the fire marshal's office. We're going to complete, as I said, some recruitment for new firefighters. Specifically, we need 3 or 4 for the Harrison station. So cheap plug out for that. If you need people wanting that, they can send their resumes in. And as I said, we're going to reevaluate the master fire plan and that. We do have in the budget that we're going to prepare and do our SCBA upgrade, which also includes our filling station at the Palmerston station. We're doing that in conjunction with Wellington North. The combined project with just the 2 fire departments will probably software systems that we've been working on for the past couple of years. As I mentioned, we're gonna reinvigorate the public education program, and we're trying to get to completing the FUS review and update all records with regards to that survey. It's a very lengthy document and a very lengthy survey, but it's definitely something that needs to be done for here and for Wellington North. It's just a matter of having the power to do that. So we're looking at getting that done. FUS is fire underwriter survey. That's all to do with the rating that we get for when we're underwriting insurance policies for the town. And that's all I have. Questions? Comments?
Questions? I have, go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you, Deputy Mayor Anderson. I mean, I don't have a question. I just, for years, I've just sat back and in awe. We have 2 or 3 people at the top, and we've got 65 or 70 people just getting along so wonderful. I mean, I get lots of calls from people that are unhappy, never ever hear anything about the fire service, and I mean that very sincerely. We grow to appreciate, I mean, what you do. You guys are, and I mean, thank you to you, Chief Harrell, for leading the pack and take our appreciation back. I mean, we have issues in our town. Who gets called? You know, 3 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock Sunday, Monday, whatever. Okay, and I mean, we just can't forget that. So, just want again, thank you for all you guys do for this community.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll definitely pass it on. That means a lot to the firefighters, and I echo what you're saying. It's not, I mean, they make me look good. They're the face of the fire department out there. They're the ones out there. They do a tremendous job all the time. And we have our annual awards night on Saturday night, and we have very good attendance coming. So we look forward to that and awarding them. I think we have four 25-year and 2 20-year medals to present. So that's just the tip of it. So it's always cool. They just do a tremendous job. It's definitely not.
Yeah.
I just have a couple questions. There's a light blue tag in your, it's 4%, but doesn't say what it is, whether it's medical or fire or not classified under other. I was just curious what that might be. On screen.
That would be our outdoor fires. So those are called, it's too small to put, so it's no loss outdoor fires.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
like uncontrolled, if they have burns and they get out of control, or grass fires, that's what they are. So there's 6% are actual structural car fires, and 4%, I think that's just one.
It says 4.
Yeah, that's the no loss. It's called no loss outdoor fires. So it's too big to put on there. So that's what that is. Yep.
So my other question is in regards to the increase in medical calls. Is there any connection between that and the stress that's currently on the ambulance system because of the mess at the hospitals? Does dispatch coordinate? Like, do they know that all the ambulances are out, so they send you guys? Or does a tiered response always send both of you? And it's whoever gets there first?
That's a great question. So the tiered response agreement that we have with Guelph Wellington Paramedic Services is there's a stipulation in there that we go to certain calls immediately together. So your critical calls like unconscious, cardiac arrest, that's an automatic. We both get paid at the same time. There is a clause in there though that if the ambulance is delayed more than 20 minutes, they send the fire department. So both here and in Wellington North, that's where we are seeing a lot of increases in there because they do not have an ambulance closer than 20 minutes. So they do send the fire department. And in the software, we've changed it that we are tracking if we're on scene first and then how long we're on scene, because we've had some significant responses where we've been on scene for quite a while waiting for the ambulances. So to answer your question, yes, it is because the ambulance is being delayed more with offload delays at hospitals and stuff like that. So I'm happy to say this year, it's very, very small sample size, but we are seeing it kind of decreasing a wee bit, that the calls are going back down because they are getting a little bit taken off of their call volume. They're freeing up a little bit sooner. So
Yeah, it seems to be a wee bit better. Depends on the day, but it seems to be, because I'm wondering, like, do we have to have some sort of liaison with the county level to look at that cost factor? Because if it's a serious incident and we're waiting 20 minutes for police or for ambulance to get there, outcome's not very good for our patients. So do we always have to dispatch our fire department? And then what is the cost structure for that when we're municipal and they're county?
Nobody has access.
Correct, yeah. I can say that I'm in constant conversation with Chief Dewar from the Guelph Wellington
Yeah.
paramedics, so we meet very often. And we're looking at different ideas and different solutions to make sure that that is not the case, because I understand the budget control and even more, as much as the budget is very important to all of us, it's the burden on the firefighters that I'm worried about. Like, they can't keep leaving work all the time during the daytime.
Well,
So
exactly. These are volunteer people who are leaving their paying jobs, whereas the ambulance, so maybe our county councilor can take some of that back to the ambulance services. Because there needs to be some work there somewhere.
Yep, and we are working up behind the scenes. I know there was a delegation at Roma to the Minister of Health. So I talked to them about that. So we are working on it behind the scenes, and as I said, it is improving this year. So I don't like 1 year off, so we'll see kind of what this year does, and then you might see more recommendations back.
Well, thank you to all of them who do what they do, because it truly is amazing when you think about the logistics of the fire department that's volunteer. They're trying to leave their jobs and go to that, and they see some dreadful things and then back to work again. So hats off to them and our sincere thanks.
I will definitely pass that on.
We want to receive that report and make.
There
there's
is,
no
there is a
recommendation.
motion.
There is a motion.
Would you like me to read that for you?
Sure, that would be great.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Zimmerman and seconded by Councillor Gunson, that Council of the Town of Minto receive report fire 2023-001 regarding 2022 year in review for information.
All in favor? And that's passed. And I'll pass the chair back to Mayor Turton.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Anderson. We're moving into the Quinn Forder's report here on the Accessibility Advisory Committee Terms of Reference. Quinn.
Sure. So through you, Mayor Turton, I have attached to the agenda the updated terms of reference for the Wellington County Accessibility Advisory Committee. As I'm sure you know, we work very closely with the county on all of our accessibility standards. And in 2005, when the Accessibility for Ontarians with Disabilities Act came in, they created the Accessibility Advisory Committee. And currently it has 12 members that are all appointed by the county. But the main change in this version of the terms of reference is to distribute the membership evenly through all the lower tier municipalities. So they're cutting the membership down to 8 people, 1 appointed by each of the lower tiers and 1 appointed by the county. And the hopes with that is all of the new provincial standards that are coming in that need to be implemented on a local level. It'll be easier for the committee to connect with local staff and council by having a representative from each municipality. And then as well, they're asking that each municipality send a staff to each of the meetings as well to discuss and add the local perspective. So all we're asking for tonight is that you endorse the new terms of reference. The county's asking every municipality to accept them and endorse them, and then they will come back to us when it is our time to appoint a new member.
Thank you, Quinn. So the recommendation moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Potnowitz, that the Council of the Town of Minto receives report CL 2023-006 regarding the County of Wellington Accessibility Advisory Committee Terms of Reference, and further that the council endorses the terms as written. Questions for Quinn? Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Anderson.
I don't have a question, but I would very much like to be part of that committee if there's an opportunity to do so. After spending 6 months in a wheelchair, I can tell them about a whole bunch of things that need to be addressed. I would love to be involved.
Other questions? Okay, I'm going to call the question. All in favor of that motion? Thank you, that's carried. So we're moving into announcements. Councillor Dirksen, do you want to start?
Sure.
Thank you.
This is actually working tonight, or, oh, mine is.
Oh, there you go. Some of them may be working and some may not, so.
Okay, well, so I wanted to thank the Town of Minto Council and staff for your support in the last few months, and then since passing of my mom. We appreciated the messages and the cards and the donations and the visits at the funeral home and at the service, and it was all very much appreciated. So thank you very much for that. And also want to talk about the Volunteer Appreciation tonight because I get to talk first apparently tonight, and because I know you're all going to say something about it, but it's one of my favorite events. It's so much fun to do something with all of you somewhere else besides around this horseshoe. And there were lots of great comments on the evening. It's great to be able to gather again and to celebrate our volunteers. And I just want to say special thanks to Annalene and Quinn and Greg Mallet for all their planning and work. It was great working with everybody. And that is all.
Thank you. Councillor Zimmerman.
Certainly. Yes, I'd like to echo Judy's statement as well about our appreciation dinner. It was really well attended. I'm getting a great sense of how many volunteers we actually have in Minto, and it's pretty impressive. Now, it was a pleasure to serve them, and look forward to it again next year.
Got to say, you did a great job on the barbecue. The pork chops were lovely, or was that wrong?
Couple extra crispy ones, but hey, that happens.
Some people like barbecue.
Thank you, Paul. Deputy Mayor Anderson?
Well, I'm going to echo it as well. It was great. The dinner was really good. You gals did a great job organizing it. We'll bring more applesauce next time if it's pork. We'll donate it from the Anderson place. But great to see that many people, and the chatter in the hall was great. People were visiting, they were having a good time, they were laughing, they were thoroughly enjoying themselves. And I apologize on behalf of the Pork Society because we sort of made the evening go longer, but the first speaker was a little longer than the second, but it was a good crowd. It really impressed our speaker. We had so many people for a small place because they come out and there's 8 or 10 people. So people really enjoyed the talks. And my thanks to Greg for sticking around because we made his evening quite a bit later than it had to be. And in the same vein, just coming ahead, but it's only about 5 weeks away now, is the Garden Festival, and it's promising to be quite an event this year with lots of vendors and tied in with the Fireman's Breakfast. It promises to be, I think there's a whole bunch of things going on. June is a very, very busy month. Belinda could give us a rundown on all the events that are coming. But stay tuned because it looks like we've got some good vendors coming. It should be a good show. And that's it.
Thank you. Councillor Potnowitz.
I have nothing tonight.
Councillor Gunson.
I'd like to apologize that I wasn't at the dinner. But when you have a couple young kids and you are into sports, that's what happens. So I heard it was a good night, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there, but next time.
We covered for you.
Thank you. Thank you. It wouldn't be hard to cover for me. It would be all right.
Yeah, I don't think you need to apologize. It's a group effort. I have a couple things. If you're finished, Jeff, sorry.
Yes.
Friday, May 12th, the Kinsman Club of Hairston and possibly one other service club have stepped up and want to do some cleanup. We're partnering with the county. They're going to supply us with a bin. And we're meeting behind the arena in Hairston at, Todd, you know all about this. Good. 6:30. So depending on how many people come, bring your grandfather, bring your kids, but come to help. So second item is the administrative. So what we're going to try and do is honor different groups throughout the year on particular weeks. So this particular evening, the Administrative Professionals Day is the National Administrative Professionals Day, also known as Secretary's Day or Admin Day, falls on April 26th each year, and recognizes the professionals who keep an office running smoothly every day. Central to any business, these professionals keep an office organized and efficient. Town of Minto has 2 administrative professionals who work with all departments to provide administrative support and exceptional customer service at the front counter. That's Caitlin and Nicole. They play an integral part, an integral role on our team, and we appreciate all that they do. So if you see them, make sure you speak to them and tell them that we're proud of them, we appreciate them. And I'm sure if you have a administrative professional at home, which likely we all do, make sure you let them know. The se- The second item is Municipal Clerks Week. Municipal Clerk Week runs April 30th to May 6th this year. The Office of the Municipal Clerk serves as the information center on the functions of local government and community. Fun fact, the Office of the Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants. Here at the Town of Minto, we have one clerk and one deputy clerk who serve as professional links between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at all levels. I'm not sure who they are, but Annaline, your name isn't here.
That's all right.
Anyway, the third item, and again, I mean, we need to thank our staff. We appreciate what you do for us, and you're second to none. The International Firefighters Day. It is important to note here that next Thursday, May 4th, is Firefighters Day. Firefighters dedicate their lives to the protection of life and property. Sometimes that dedication is in the form of countless hours volunteered over many years. In others, it may be selfless years working in the industry. Town of Minto is proud to recognize the dedicated men and women who spend countless hours training for and responding to incidents with Minto Fire. We thank you for your service to the community and the vital role you play in keeping us all safe. Fitting that we had a fire service report tonight. So, again, all three of these identified tonight are important to us, and just if you see them or call them, thank them. So.
I believe Treasurer Duff had something.
Oh, exactly. You told me that and I forgot. Treasurer Duff, you're on.
Thank you. I'm actually speaking for Councillor Elliott, who's not here tonight. He would have brought this forward otherwise. I just want to mention our film circuit. Our last film of the series is on Monday, May the 15th. A lot of special things about that night. We're showcasing a Canadian movie called I Like Movies, shot and also situated in Southern Ontario, which is unusual in itself. It's set in 2003. It's about the glory days of the video store. And it's actually filmed in Ajax, but it's about a high school student in his last year growing up in the Burlington area. And what makes it special is we have two special guests to our town. We have the writer and director, Chandler Levac, who's coming from Toronto. Her film has been showcased at the Toronto Festival, Vancouver, and is currently making its way across Canada and the US too. So she will be here to do an introduction and a question and answer. And I just found out this afternoon, we're also going to be hosting Jamil Aziz, who is the program director of the Film Circuit, which is a division of Toronto International Film Festival. Like many small organizations, Film Circuit was really hit hard by the COVID pandemic, and they lost all of their staff and had to basically rebuild. So this will be Jamil's first trip to one of the Film Circuit locations, and I'm glad that Palmerston is the host. So 7:15, Monday, May the 15th at the Norgan. Come on out. Thanks.
Linda, do you want to say anything about the job fair?
Tomorrow night at 5 o'clock, we have, or 6 o'clock, sorry, 6 till 8, we have our Northern Wellington Works event. We're partnering with Wellington North, Mapleton, and the Career Education Council. There are 29 employers on hand with jobs, careers, and also volunteer groups looking for volunteers. So just encourage the community, if you're looking for a job, to change jobs, if you want to get your kids jobs,
Thank you, Belinda. The last thing that I want to say is May 2nd, we are having numerous open houses in Minto. So if you're not aware of them, just let me know and I can give you a list. So it's always nice to have people out to these open houses. So that is Tuesday, May 2nd. So thank you. Anything else? Okay. Then I have a motion, a resolution moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Councillor Zimmerman, that the Committee of the Whole convenes into regular council. All in favor of that? That's carried. Thank you. Any notices of motion? Nothing. Okay, so resolution moved by Deputy Mayor Anderson, seconded by Councillor Gunson, that the Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. Bylaws. Moved by Councillor Potnovitz, second by Councillor Dirksen, that bylaws 2023-031 and 2023-032 be read a first, second, and third time and passed in open council and sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor of that motion? Carried. Thank you very much. Confirmatory bylaw is moved by Councillor Zimmerman, seconded by Deputy Mayor Anderson, that bylaw 2023-033 to confirm actions of the council and the corporation of the town of Minto respecting a meeting held April 4th be read and first and second time and passed in open council, sealed with the seal of the corporation. All in favor of that motion? That's carried. Thank you. And adjournment. There's one thing I missed. Not sure if everybody's aware that we had one of our staff was at Good Roads Convention this week, speaking on a panel on Wednesday. Sitting there and just watching all the proceedings, and up on the stage come our CBO, Terry Kuipers. And I just wanted to, I've told him this before, little vote of confidence. It was excellent, and I know how difficult it is with all the Bill 23 and all those other bills and how they're changing, but you performed remarkably, and I appreciated you being there, and thank you for that. So, adjournment. A resolution moved by Councillor Gunson, seconded by Councillor Potnovitz, that the Council of the Town of Minto adjourns to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you very much for a very good meeting.